What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video. So today's video, I'm very excited to show you guys every single trade that I took this morning. Today I had one of the best trading days in my life. Closed out very big today, and the best part about this is that I love basically how the entire day was, right? We started off the day pretty choppy. We were down over negative $3,600. The first setup that we end up losing, right, I did attempt it one more time, which this is exactly where I did manage to recover the losses. We managed to enter a second position, right, which that second position we did end up closing out profits as well. The last trade that I took early today, we just hit final take profits for 500 pips at a 1 of 5 risk to reward. So we took a loss early this morning, which was a negative 1%. We recovered, closed out around 1.7%. So we recovered the losses and we closed out just a few profits. And this last trade that we took did end up playing out over a 5% profit. So I'm going to show you guys the loss that I took early this morning. Like I told you guys, I was down negative $3,600 to start off the day. So let's look for this. I did take a screenshot. Let's go right here. So this is the early loss that I took early this morning. As you guys can see, negative $3,600 is what I started the day. So we started pretty choppy. And then right now, we just end up hitting our final take profits. And this is exactly where I did end up closing out for the day at $10,100. So as you guys can see, today was one of my best trading days ever. Really love the trades that I took today. I really love the way that I manage every single position. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I took these setups, right? So yesterday in the free Telegram, I told everyone that I'm only going to be focusing with the VIP group, right? So this is exactly what I did this morning. I focused just with the VIP. So we're going to go all the way here to the first trade that I took this morning, which was a buy limit, right? The buy limit was supposed to be set somewhere between 40.97 or 40.97 to 40.95. And this buy limit was basically set off this entire imbalance candle that, the market just pretty much had an open with, right? And I was just simply waiting for price action to come back and filled up all of this entire missing orders over here so that we can continue pushing the market higher, right? So it's going to be the first trade that we took this morning. Now, we did see that price action did fail to tap us in, right? So this was the failed, and then we started having a nice bullish push towards this upside. So all of this trade that I took, as you guys can see, which was the first loss that I took, which is this trade here, right? I end up taking this position exactly at this candle. Price action had a retracement. I told everyone to close out the position as soon as we close underneath the 41.08, right? So we go back here towards the Telegram. This is, I told everyone, hey, manage your risk, cut some losses. If price closed underneath the 41.08, I'm closing out early with a loss, right? And the original stop loss was going to be at 41.06. So I told everyone to close out in profit, and as you guys can see, we did end up getting stopped out of stop loss, right? So we told everyone to close out a profit as soon as price action broke underneath the 41.08, and then over here, this candle did end up wicking out. Now, keep in mind, I had a buy limit still set, which was going to be around the 40.97, 40.94. This is where I told everyone, hey, keep your limit pending for now. A few minutes later, I told everyone to re-enter again the same exact position, which is the 41.16, which is the first trade that I took, right, which was a loss. And the main reason why I re-entered this exact position, right, is just for two simple reasons, right? Again, I'm going to explain to you guys all of this at a better breakdown, but just to give you guys a clear overview, I simply enter once I saw price action pretty much wicking all of this entire low. And if you guys look towards the left side, we have a nice bullish fair value gap right over here, which price action came back, respected it, had the bullish push towards the upside. Price action came back once again, we swept out those lows and closed above. And if you guys notice this entire candle right here on the 5-minute time frame, this is a bearish fair value gap, right? So what we simply did, we inversed that bearish fair value gap. We came back, we retested, and as soon as price action did manage to close above it, that's exactly where I did manage to re-enter the same exact trade. And as you guys can see, we did get the push, exactly the push that we wanted the first time. Now, the same exact reason why did I take it here was the same exact reason. We built up another bullish fair value gap right here, which price action did close above it. We re-enter the position. Again, everything's just all about probabilities. Price action failed to push the first time. That's exactly where we got stopped at stop loss. And then I waited for price action to give me the same exact setup above these areas due to the fact that we end up respecting all of these entire lows. So again, the confirmations were always going to be there. Now, the second entry, we took the second entry based off on the same exact structure. We have another bullish fair value gap right here. We waited for price action to come out, sweep all of these entire lows, and that's exactly where we end up setting our buy limit. As you guys can see, that buy limit did get active, and we did end up hitting over 100 plus pips. So that was the two entry that we took. And then as soon as we hit both of these trades here, we got stopped at a break even. This is where I told everyone to delete any limit pending, right? Let's go all the way, where is this at? Or here. So I told everyone to delete any pending limit now that I'm basically done for the day. We recovered the losses and we also closed out the trade in profits, right? Now, earlier as well, I told everyone that we're going to be reacting adapt, that we're going to be looking for a sell position. But later on during the session, I found one more zone that made a lot of sense, which is very, very similar setup to what we took early this morning with all of these entire lows, right? And as you guys can see, this is the same exact setup that made me close out the day over $10,000 in profits. So I told everyone in the free Telegram, hey, I'm going to be focusing today with the VIP group. And that's exactly what we did. And as you guys can see, a $149 investment made me over $10,000, right? So if you guys invest into the VIP, these are the type of trades that you guys are able to catch every single day, right? And again, I'm not just going to be sending you guys signals just to send out signals, right? I'm taking every single trade with following a simple, strict plan, which is my 5-step rules, right? To give you guys a clear view how exactly does a 5-step works, all you guys got to do is just simply align with the trend, and you guys got to look for specific things. So for example, the first step is that you guys have to always mark up from a higher time frame, right? So I always like to start off the day by marking up the daily highs and the daily lows from the previous structure, right? So let's start off this entire breakdown, basically breaking down with the 5 steps. So let me pull out the 5-step file and I'm going to start this video. So step number 1 and step number 2 is the first thing that you guys always got to do, right? So you start from a higher time frame to find the overall trend and the bias, right? Step number 2, you always have to mark up the weekly highs and the weekly lows, and always mark up the daily highs and lows to identify trap zones and potential target areas, right? So that's exactly how I start all of my trading days. So if we start here from a higher time frame perspective, right, we're going to start off from a weekly time frame, and we're just pretty much going to analyze the weekly structures, right? Yesterday breakdown, I explained to you guys exactly why I was looking for buy position with gold. And as you guys can see, we're still overall bullish here with gold due to the fact that we are respecting all of this entire lows, right? Now, going here towards the daily time frame, we're going to look at Tuesday daily candle. We have daily candle here towards these lows, which is going to be set at the 4,000, and we also have these daily highs over here, which is going to be set at the 4081, right? Now, if we notice exactly these lows over here, what price action pretty much respected was all of this entire demand zone. This entire daily lows as well is going to be considered as the weekly lows from this week candles, right? So let's go all the way down towards a lower time frame perspective, which is the 4-hour time frame, right? Notice exactly how price action respected these entire demand zone. And we also respected off the daily time frame all of this entire imbalance candle, right? So again, an imbalance candle is basically when price action has a nice push towards the upside, or it can be vice versa towards the downside. And price action is always going to come over here to basically fill the unfilled orders, right? So think about it like a business, or like business that still hasn't been pushed, right? We have to wait for price action to come over here, which is an unfinished business from this exact move towards the upside. And then basically all of these entire orders are going to be getting filled up as long as price action respects it, and then you guys can continue with the trend. Same scenario happens whenever you guys are looking for a bearish market, right? So if we go back here towards these steps, right, we always have to find, let's go back over here. We always have to identify these weekly highs, these weekly lows, because again, these are areas where it can identify as trap zones or potential targets. As well, going to step number 1, you start from a higher time frame to find the overall trend and the bias, right? So overall, we're still in a bullish market. We already identified the daily highs and the daily lows. We already identified that these daily lows over here pretty much respected all of this entire demand zone, which obviously at one point here, the market had a bullish push towards the upside, right? And that's exactly what price action did over here. We had a nice push towards the upside. Now, we're going to mark up the daily lows, or the daily highs, which in this case over here is all of this entire high structure. So if you guys kind of break it down towards a lower time frame perspective, right? I want you guys to understand that yesterday we were looking for sells, which is that we end up taking some sales position from these highs over here. And then during the Asian session, we finally had a break of structure of all of these entire highs, right? So let's write down the notes. First thing first is that, let me just make sure I don't turn off the mic by moving this. All right, perfect. So first thing first, we have 1, price is respecting higher time frame demand, which is set at the 4,000 level. which is also the round psychological numbers, right? Now, what is going to be step number 2? We had a proper break of structure of a intraday time frame structure and as well of the 4-hour time frame, right? So you guys can see all of this entire broken structure. This was exactly where price action pretty much confirmed the bullish move. Because if you guys look at it from this side over here, you guys can see that we were once trading underneath this level, and as you guys can see, it was once an area of resistance, which price action once again used it as resistance, which we did see some seller action towards these levels, right? Now, I want you guys to also identify this candle, right? So if you guys kind of go down towards a lower time frame, you guys can see that these candles over here identify as a bullish fair value gap, which the first time price action respected, we had to push towards the upside. The second time price action respected again, and we also had another push towards the upside. So the bearish or the bullish fair value gap was built between these levels over here, which is between the 40-60 all the way down towards the 40-50 zones, right? So that's gonna be confirmation number 2. We had a clean break of structure above intraday level, which is 40-80, right? That's going to be the second confirmation, 40-80. And then we also have the third one, which is bullish fair value gap was built inside 40-60, 40-50 zone. That's simple. Now, once price action had a clean break of structure, notice how we came back and respected the 40-80, which all of this entire areas of resistance has now became an area of support. So going back into step number 3, which is intraday key zones, you got to identify break of structure and you also got to identify a supply or demand zones, right? In this case over here, since we're in a bullish market, we're only looking for demands area. That's exactly the zones that we always want to mark out. So in this case over here, we are marking out the demand zone. You always want to highlight the structure breaks and smart zone that aligns with your buys, right? And the one that aligns with our buys are all of this entire demand zones, right? So this is exactly where the bullish volume started picking up, and then we had the proper intraday break of structure, which price action respected, used as an area of support. Now, going down towards a lower time frame, what are we going to focus right over here? During this push towards the downside, which was the agents, or we can say the London lows, we also had another push towards the upside, right? And you guys can clearly see how this is all equal highs, which price action always has to take out before having the real move, right? So in this case, since we had a nice push towards the upside, if we go over here towards the 30-minute, I want you guys to notice this nice 30-minute bullish imbalance candle, which price action had a nice break of structure above all of this entire highs. So you notice how every single thing that we're highlighting over here aligns with our bias, which is bullish. So bullish due to the fact that, again, we have resistance here, we have a bullish fair value gap here that price action is respecting, we are respecting the overall demand zone, which all of this entire push is happening. So all you guys got to do is just simply go along with the trend. And whenever you guys are going along the trend, you got to follow the 5 steps, which is the break of structure, identify the weekly highs, the daily highs, and then you also got to identify all of this here. So now we move into step number 4, which is fair value gaps. Identify imbalance that shows where market may return before having a continuation towards the upside or continuation towards the downside. So in this case over here, once we woke up this morning, we marked up the early New York session, we had this nice imbalance candle here, which was my first areas of interest, right? Notice how price action had the nice imbalance push towards the upside. Again, you always want to find imbalance because this is exactly where price action is going to have a retracement, so it can pretty much fill up the unfinished business so it can continue pushing towards the direction that price action had, right? The break of structure. So again, we had a break of structure here, and we also had this nice entire imbalance candle, right? So that's going to be going into the second or to the 4 confirmation that we had this morning. 4 confirmation is that we had, let's say, so we have the bullish inside, then we have the break of structure above 40.80. Price, let's just do this. Price now holding, say holding above 40.80, previous resistance, which has now turned into a support, right? And then we also go to step number 5. We have imbalance slash bullish fair value gap between, we had the level marked up between 40.97, which aligns with this break of structure. So 40.97 and 40.95. Very simple, right? So this was all the confirmation that we had this morning so that we can actually enter this first buy limit, right? So let's go back over here. This was the buy limit that I had marked up earlier this morning, 40.97, 40.94, right? This was at 8:18. Now, I want you guys to notice exactly what happened over here. If you guys kind of break it down towards a lower time frame, right? I want you guys to notice as well, between this entire imbalance, we have all of this entire bullish fair value as being formed, right? So we had the push, we had the retracement. This is exactly where price action did respect the first bullish fair value gap, which is this is exactly where we did see the bullish push towards the upside. So in this case over here, if my limit was going to be placed at 40.97, right? So let's put this 40.97, and my stop loss was going to be at 40.87, which is underneath all of this entire break of structure, and my take profit was going to be at a 1 and 3. Notice how we did miss our entry, right? We missed our entry points by a few pips at the first attempt, which is going to be right over here. You guys see this? Right, this right here. And that's exactly where price action, once again, we broke above all of this entire structure, which is an area of support. Price action missed it. Originally, the trade was supposed to be like this, and then have the push towards the upside. But the push that we were looking for down here, right? The push that we were looking for down here already happened right above here. And we broke above structure. Price action came back, we used it as a support. We had another push towards this upside. What do we have here now? We have a nice bullish fair value gap, which was built right inside here. Right? And notice how price action perfectly respected, and we closed above all of these entire highs. Once we close above all of this entire highs and we respect it, so let's kind of go down towards a 1 minute time frame so you guys can kind of see it better. Once we kind of pretty much saw this entire structure being filled, and price action, pretty much maintaining above the exact support zone where we did see some buyers stepping into the market, and we did see that price action technically swept out all of this entire low, respecting all of this entire demand zone. All we waited for was for price action to break above the previous highs, which in this case is going to be this one. So that's exactly where we entered the market. It was a high risk trade because, again, I told everyone, hey, if price fails to tap us in, I would look for buys above the 41.20. But I decided to enter a high risk buy, which was at 41.16, as soon as we saw basically price action doing all of this. And that's exactly where I entered. Once I enter, as you guys can see, price action immediately rejected all of this entire highs over here, and we did see another push towards the downside. That's exactly where I did manage my risk. I did end up closing out my position around 41.07, which is where I lost over $3,600. Once I did see that price action respected these lows over here, obviously I'm not going to enter the market right away because, again, if you guys notice from a higher time frame perspective, let's say for the 5 minute time frame, we are seeing some bearish action. So what we have to look for in this case, now we're going to look for an inverse fair value gap, which in this case over here, we had a bearish fair value gap here. Now notice the structure. We respected this entire areas of bullish fair value gap. Price action respected these lows, and we had a nice bullish engulfing candle closing and inversing above this entire bearish fair value gap. So notice how all of this entire 5 steps aligns with our confirmation, aligns with our trend and the bias. So as soon as we got all of this, this is exactly where I did manage to re-enter my same exact position. I told everyone, hey, re-enter the trade right now. We took this trade, we ended up hitting take profit 3 over 150 pips, and then we took a second trade, which was going to be above this area, right, which is off this entire bullish fair value gap, especially after price action breaking above all of this entire London highs. It already aligned, it continued align more with our bias. So why not take more trades, right? Why not align your trade, right? If it makes sense, you're going to end up taking the position, right? That's exactly what I did this morning. And we did end up hitting over 100 plus pips as well. So that's exactly what I did manage to secure majority of my profits. My mindset in this point over here was to make sure that I, close profits, recover from my loss. Doesn't matter if I at least break even, right? But recover from my loss and continue covering more profits, right? That was the mindset that I had early this morning. Now, after price session, end up respecting all of this. We kind of go towards here. I did had, this is exactly where I told everyone, hey, react and adapt. After this morning bullish move, right, we did see the price session tap into our sell zone, which is a higher time frame bearish fair value gap around the 41.30. which price action rejected clean, and immediately sellers stepped in, confirming with a bearish break of structure under the 4107, 4111, right? So this was this bullish position that we had, right? Again, the original move was supposed to happen here, but unfortunately it's not what we want. It's what the market gives us, right? So this was a trade that we did end up missing, but then we were also looking for a sell trade, especially after price action was respecting all of this entire bearish structure. So again, we kind of look at this from a higher time frame perspective, right? We did see that obviously price action had a bullish push. We had a bearish push from this entire retracement towards a downtrend. But again, like I was explaining yesterday, this is all market structure. All you guys got to do is just simply look left. Every uptrend, whenever price action has a downtrend, right, which is retracement, there's always going to be supply zone. There's always going to be bearish fair value gaps. So that's exactly where you guys set the limits, right? That's exactly how I trade. In this case over here, if we look at it from a 1 hour time frame perspective, we had this nice bearish fair value gap, which price action came back, we respected, and what do we see? We did immediately see sellers step into the market. And that's exactly what I told everyone. Hey, now we're going to react and adapt. If the market reacted from this structure, we're going to adapt towards it. We're not going to stay bullish in the market. We're just simply going to adapt towards the market, right? So inside the Telegram, I'm like, hey, we removed the buy limit perfectly, because again, if we did not remove this buy limit and just wanted to continue holding this buy limit, notice how easily we could have gotten stopped out of this trade, right? So we perfectly removed the buy limit. As soon as price action respected the supply zone, I told everyone, hey, fuck that. We're not going to be entering this buy limit. We're going to close this out. Now this is exactly where we react and adapt, and we're simply waiting for price action to have the retracement, which is exactly what price action is doing right now. We're having the retracement towards this area, but right now obviously there is no sell confirmation just yet. If we would have set up a sell limit, we would have definitely hit over 100 plus pips, because my sell limit was going to be placed around the 110, and price action did end up going all the way down towards 80 plus pips. So it would have been a nice in and out trade, right? But obviously that is not the idea of the trade that we want to take. Now, once we did see that price action had this nice bearish push towards the downside, right? I want you guys to notice how price action once again came back towards these levels. So if you guys kind of go back here towards the 1 hour time frame, let's actually go towards a 4 hour time frame. Once we come back towards this 4 hour time frame, I want you guys to notice how price action came back towards this entire 4 hours bullish fair value gap, which is exactly where we did see the initial push towards the upside yesterday. Price action once again, we came back towards this level. Notice how we respected it. This is exactly where I told everyone. Now, was pretty late. This was, going into the PM session. This was 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I told everyone to buy the market at 40.60. This was 12 o'clock, 40.60. I told everyone to buy the market in this point over here. We perfectly pulled back towards these areas of demand zone, where price action obviously had bullish push towards the pass. We respect it. Obviously, we re-entered this trade over here, and obviously, as you guys can see, we did end up hitting every single take profits for a 1 of 5 risk to reward. Beautiful day. Honestly, one of my favorite trading days so far of this year. This was a perfect trade that I took this morning. Everything aligns perfectly with my entire 5-step system, right? So my 5-step system, this is exactly what I teach, right? This is exactly what I teach in the bootcamp. I explained to you guys how to properly find all of these entire levels, right? Because these are the levels where I'm going to be placing buy limits, where I'm going to be placing sell limits. And as you guys can see, these are accurate, right? Obviously, it's never going to be 100%, but the accuracy with these entire limits are on point. So beautiful trade that I took this morning. Again, to prove it to you guys, right? Remember how I told you guys, react and adapt. I'm going to be looking for sells around the 41.7, 41.10. Even the market hasn't even pulled back towards these levels. And look what price action is doing right now. We're kind of already having a bearish reaction towards these levels, right? Just to show you guys that these are simply how I trade the markets. This is exactly the zones that I like to place the limits, right? But that's another story. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys, if you guys are in the VIP, I hope you guys made a lot of profit off this trade. Honestly, it was a great day for me, and I did love the way how everything worked out perfectly. I hope you guys also had another good day. So again, this is the last part of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new breakdown.